Every year, these radical nutbags come out of the woodwork, poke their little heads up, tell us how we're going to live, and they run their little conference. And each year, these social vandals come out with something new. Last year, my goodness, it was a whole big year of stuff. They did all sorts of things. Like here's the one from 2015. 2015 Marxist Love Fest for Easter. So they always pop together around about Easter time, hold hands and talk about how they're going to change the world, and then they introduce all these radical people who've never done a day's work in their life, as far as I can work out. But let's zoom into here. If we zoom into here, you can actually see that it's a pretty incestuous sort of organisation. It's the DSP, which is Democratic Socialist Party, Green Left Weekly, Socialist Alternative, and pretty much a bunch of leftover Trotskys from the 1980s who, after communism collapsed, had nowhere really to go except for down, out and around and join up with a bunch of greenies and become watermelons. But they are still there. They want to destroy the world, get rid of capitalism, install Marxism, purge the bad people. And in 2015 we had a whole bunch of people: Brian Jones, John Pilger, some Black Panthers people, Gary Foley, Anthony Lowenstein, all these people. And it just goes down and down and down. All these people just rock up to this conference and they talk about how they're going to destroy capitalism. It's all bad for us. Some of these people actually do pop up in the news a couple of years later. Like Roz Ward first showed, I don't know whether it's a he or a him or a her now, showed its head. I think it's a she. I'm not sure what it's meant to be called. Too many pronouns and not enough ways to define them. Roz Ward, delegate of the National Tertiary Education Union at La Trobe University, growing up in Thatcher's Britain. It's a she. Moved to Australia and joined the DSP. If you have a look here via archive.org, you can actually see the full profile of Roz Ward. But where Roz Ward has become quite famous is through the Safe Schools program. Roz Ward has popped her head up, I guess, to her, and been basically forcing this Safe Schools program down the throats of anybody and everybody trying to force children into learning all gay propaganda. So there's a few other people here who are basically well-known rouseabouts like Ian Jemison and who's a couple of other ones here. John Passant, who everybody knows about. And there's a few other people, Sue Bolton. And all these people sort of like poke their noses up and they talk about, angry things. And they just bring in some people like this and a bunch of nobodies from overseas, and then they talk about how they're going to change the world. Now, last year's 2016 was even more bizarre. Who were the social vandals in 2016? Well, John Pilger rocks up, of course, because he has a very close association with the Green Left Weekly, and Gary Foley, who basically was a Aboriginal activist who went over to Libya and basically spent a fair chunk of time kissing Colonel Gaddafi's butt while he was at the height of his bloody regime. Isn't it wonderful? And these people come out here and they're revolutionaries and they're social justice warriors, I guess they call them this year. There's a lot of things that happened last year which they tried to bring in. Sex and oppression. Capitalism thrives on the division and control. Capitalism dives into the deepest and seemingly most personal aspects of our lives, our sexuality, and messes with us. I think there's a bit of projection in this one. Black Lives Matter, they're bringing out people from Black Lives Matter. Islamophobia, the new McCarthyism. Well, isn't that wonderful? Fulcrum on sexuality. Seems to me a lot of people are obsessed with their other people's sex lives here. Again, top billing. Gary Foley's made it to the top billing. Woohoo! Gary Foley, centrally involved in starting the Aboriginal Tent Embassy. Also a Colonel Gaddafi butt kisser. There's a bunch of other people who are basically I've never heard of. This Will, whatever his name is. Tony Birch is well known. Christine Craik, also well known. And this one is basically basically does a tick list of all the things that socialists loves. Decriminalise abortion, support Palestine people, promote the Creole language. Well, that's a new one. No to compulsory biometric ID cards. Is it on the agenda? I didn't know. Against military bases, especially US bases, on Diego Garcia, or part of the Republic of Mauritius. Well, there you go. We're worrying about Mauritius now. This person makes me laugh. Doesn't especially like oysters. Who cares? This particular fella here, Iran, is basically he's a Sri Lankan Tamil, and he's claiming to be of Tamil Elam origin. And Tamil Elam doesn't exist. It's basically a made-up state by the Tamil Tigers, or Liberation Tigers of Elam. So I'm not sure what he's trying to accomplish by throwing that out into the ring, other than just to say that they like to associate with terrorist causes, I guess. Sandra Bloodworth, Jane Stone, she's a regular. Sean Mitchell, Helen Jarvis, I haven't seen her in years. And then we've got a few people here who are just basically dinosaurs from the Cold War. This Rick Kuhn, Mick Armstrong, Bramble, another dinosaur from the Cold War. Vashati Kenway, member of the National Executive of the Socialist Alternative. And she was a Max Bremer chocolate shop protester. Because if you block a chocolate shop, an Israeli soldier dies. I don't know how they actually work out their logic and these sorts of things. Alan Myers, Liam Ward. Yeah, Liam Ward's been around a bit of a protester. There's a few other people here. Omar Hassan, he was there last year. Tony Lincoln, another dinosaur. So that's 2 years prior. This year, let's have a look at this year. Marxism Conference. The Marxism Conference of 2017. Now that's always run somewhere around about April, usually around about Easter. And it's good to see who's going to rock up and what they're actually going to talk about, because give it 2 years and good chance that maybe, just maybe, you'll actually see some of these people appearing in the local protest here, there and everywhere. Let's have a look at this. Marxism 2016 Open Night. Well, that's over and done with. And Marxism, they got a video. Well, I really don't think I could put up with that. Interactive conference program. Over 100 speakers, speaker info, readings and trailers. Let's go straight to the program. Featured speakers. Let's see who's going to rock up these days. It's pretty much... Aaron's back again. He hasn't updated his resume since then. Cold War warriors, they're still around. Vashati is still around. I wonder if that's a real name. Whether it's like you join the Communist Party, or you join the Trots and you get a new name or something like that. Liz Roz, yeah, she's been around, gay activist, whatever she is. Liam Ward, been around for years, always a professional protester. Tom O'Lincoln, yeah, another dinosaur from the Cold War. So there's quite a few people here have been here in previous years. They've come back for another go at the thing. Christos from Greece, I don't know what he is and where he's from. Haley Pasin, International Socialist Organisation. Yeah, Curry Peterson Smith, another Black Lives Matter person. Yep, okay. And then we have a socialist group, a Marxist group from Hong Kong. Gee, that would be popular in Hong Kong, wouldn't it? Right. They're all having steep protests about the Marxists taking over, and then all of a sudden we're going to have a Marxist imported from Hong Kong to Australia just to tell us about how great it is. The program is where you get an idea of what they're on about. Usually it's a lot of thank me, and we wish to thank everybody for rocking up. We wish to tell people how wonderful Marxism is. No matter what happens, we will never forget ourselves. A bunch of people just living in the past, I guess. Friday. Isn't Marxism a 19th century concept? Yes, it is. Secularism, Islam, and women's liberation. Well, that's 3 bases covered. Hospitals for profit. Weapons to waste dumps. A primer to Russia 1917. Okay. Fulcrit. God, they love this Fulcrit fellow. Modern Australia working class. So it just goes on and on. It's asking you where and where. Greening Malthus, family planning and forced sterilisation. I don't know whether they're in favour of it or they're against it, because the greenies tend to go a lot of ways around. Yeah. Now, one thing you're going to find about socialists, they really, really hate Mahatma Gandhi. And the reason why they hate Mahatma Gandhi, as far as I can work out, is because he refused to pick up a gun or justify violent revolution. So the myth of non-violence is always in there. Now, there's a lot of people who don't like him, but socialists really hate him. Doesn't Marxism work in theory but not in practice? Yes, that's true. So these are people who are not going to break out of their mentality. Now, you think to yourself, all right, bunch of fanatics, leave them alone. They'll eventually grow up. Unfortunately, they don't. Unfortunately, what happens is you end up with people like Roz Ward, who somehow or other go through the back door and get positions of influence and start enforcing things in society against the better wishes of, say, parents, the voting public, and a few other people who would not be happy. So there's a lot of things here that make me unhappy just to see, but I would say, okay, if they just want to talk about it, I don't care. It's only when they start implementing it, it becomes a problem. Now, a lot of this stuff is Turkey, the military army, and democracy, Marxism, theories of Stalinism. I mean, it just goes round and round in circles. Post-insurrection, Cuba's struggle for socialism. I think that struggle is over. Marxism debates over caste class in India. And Marxism electoral studies class. Oh, isn't that nice? You can do an electoral studies class in Marxism. So there's a lot of things that are here that just tell you that this is the protests that are going to be happening in the next couple of years. There's a few more things in here in the program, like the latest news. What's in the latest news? I take it Donald Trump's election probably made him unhappy. Socialism talks. I wish they'd update these things. It's no fun if they don't update them. 2015, Socialism 2015 talks are online, only 2 years late. Let's see how much they charge for the tickets. If you decide all weekend If you don't have a wage, i.e. you're on the dole, if you have a wage, i.e. you've got a job, or you're a high-waged or solidarity. I guess solidarity means I'm willing to volunteer giving more money. And how are they going to test whether someone's got a high wage? What do you do for a living? I'm a doctor. Oh, in that case, you've got to pay $120. For the whole weekend, $150, $75. Can you imagine? When was the last time you had a job, son? Oh, I'm pretty poor, I haven't got a job. Oh, well, it's only $75 for the whole weekend, including radical reels. Yeah, that's really helpful. Yeah. Okay, well, this is pretty much my take on this year coming of... Before I go. Really, really important. Kids program. They do this every year. I don't like being bored. And imagine you take a kid and your one purpose in living is you say, kids, why should we be socialists? Well, we're being socialists because this God thing's just not working for us. And guess what? Once socialism has taken over, you don't have to be bored in church anymore. You can come to our program and be bored there. The 4th year in a row, Social Alternative presents a dedicated space for school-aged children of conference attendees. Oh, that sounds so wonderful. Look at this. There's even an email. kids@marxismconference.org. Indoctrinate your children. It's gotta be something like child abuse or something, I'm not sure. Latin writer with an unpronounceable name wrote of children under capitalism. Day after day, children are denied the right to be children. The world treats rich kids as if they were money, teaching them to act the way that money acts. Okay. Sounds like this guy's a preachy sort of fellow. But look, you can tell where this stuff comes from. Socialist Alternative, Red Flag, Marxist Review. These are all just basically lynchy lefty sites, left-wing sites with just teetering on the edge of saying, give me a chance, send the weapons and we'll come and attack you one day. Previous conferences, we've got the archives of the previous conferences here. I mean, if you want to have fun, go to this site and have a look. And there's a lot here to laugh at, and you'll actually see in a year or two what programs get put into the government. Because if you've got like the state Labor government with Daniel Andrews, to me it looks like he's just reading down the list of what's on these Marxism causes and just ticking them off as he implements them.